filming and photography on federal land. I want to talk about the laws and the regulations. One of you alerted me in a YouTube comment on one of my videos that there are laws that govern filming on federal land, and that does include BLM land. Well, I looked it up. I thought, well, that sounds kind of different. Oh yeah, there are regular laws and regulations. And if you're filming or photographing for commercial use, which a lot of YouTubers are, you need to have a permit. So I want to talk about that. I looked it up, and I'm using the website of the National Park Service. Here's something that I also want to talk about. I found a really nice website that gave me all the skinny on the laws of photography, taking pictures, filming in public lands, on private lands, and things like that, and the copyright laws. So I'm going to get into some filming here. Now, a lot of us, you see everybody, we're just walking around taking pictures of all kinds of things, right? Is it legal to do? Can we legally do it? Well, first I'm going to talk about the National Park Service. I do want to make a disclaimer. I am not an attorney, and I don't have the inside skinny on copyright laws, things like that. So, and all of these rules and regulations are in the United States. There's no other nation. So just making a disclaimer, I'm giving this information to you for entertainment purposes. I guess that would be a good disclaimer, right? Well, when it comes to the National Park Service, there were laws already in place on defacing and going in areas and filming where you shouldn't be doing that, and that you have always needed a permit for any commercial filming or photography. But it really wasn't enforced, well, not too much, until a man named David Lesh. He was recently this year prosecuted for snowboarding in an area where he should not have been. And these are environmentally insecure places. But what they found with David Lesh, he was a no do-gooder in many cases. He was found, I think they found pictures on his Instagram and other social media of him defacing and defecating on monuments, things like that. Allegedly, okay, I'm just going to say that allegedly he has been found to be doing things that he shouldn't be doing on federal land. So what happened was in October, let me get the date right, October 28th, 2022, the National Park Service laid down the long-standing laws. These have been long-standing, but they laid them down, and the regulations governing commercial filming in parks, national parks. So they're now heavily enforcing these laws. Now you have to have a permit. So I actually looked that up, but let me go ahead and see what this all is about. All commercial filming that occurs within the unit of a National Park Service requires a permit. That means all. And that also includes YouTubers and on Instagram, things like that. Yeah. All commercial filming. So what I did was I want to read you some of this because I can't memorize this and I'm not an attorney. And I know this is interesting for you because this might not totally affect you personally, but you may know somebody that it will affect. And this gal wanted to alert me because I'm a YouTuber and I'm doing filming. Now, BLM is federal land. I looked up, is BLM considered federal land? Because this includes for federal land, national parks, right? Well, BLM land is considered federal land. So you use your own discretion on that. Okay, so I've got this. I'm gonna list some of this. I'm gonna read this to you. and I'll try to make it as concise as possible. Commercial filming means the film, electronic, magnetic, digital, or other recording of a moving image by a person, business, or other entity for the market audience with the intent of generating income. Examples include, but are not limited to, feature film, videography, and documentaries. Commercial filming may include the advertisement of a product or service or the use of actors, models, sets, or props. There you go. They're just laying this out here. This is the law. Federal law requires a permit for all commercial filming, no matter the size of the crew or the type of equipment. This includes individuals or small groups that don't use much equipment but generate revenue by posting footage on websites such as YouTube and TikTok. The primary focus of the National Park Service, however, is on commercial filming that has the potential to impact park resources and visitors beyond what occurs from normal visitor use of park areas. Examples of this type of filming are productions that use substantial equipment such as sets and lighting, productions with crews that exceed 5 people, and filming in closed areas, wilderness areas, or in locations that would create conflicts with other visitors or harm sensitive resources. The gist that I'm getting from this is that, like regular filming crews or somebody doing documentaries, they've always gotten permits. They know this, and they've always gotten them. So they didn't have to worry about them so much. But with the increase of social media and, like I said, TikTok and YouTube and things like that, yeah, people are going into the wild in all different areas and just filming, but they're kind of going in to get the best pictures, and they're going into areas that have sensitive environmental issues. Let me continue. All filmers, no matter the size, must comply with all rules that apply in park areas, just like other visitors. Yeah, that makes sense. Individual parks may require a permit for non-commercial filming if necessary to manage the activity, to protect park resources and values, minimize conflict between user groups, or to ensure public safety. So they're saying that even if it's not commercial, that there are laws protecting our lands and the visitors in the public lands. Examples of non-commercial filming include, but not limited to, filming for tourist bureaus, convention and visitor bureaus, student filming, and filming for personal use and equipment. If you have questions about whether a non-commercial film project requires a permit, please contact the park where you intend to film in advance. Okay, and it goes on. This isn't too long, so bear with me here. A permit is required for still photography only when the activity takes place at locations where or when members of the public are generally not allowed. So you can still take pictures, right? The activity uses models, sets, or props that are not a part of the location's natural or cultural resource or administrative facilities. Or the National Park Service would incur additional administrative costs to monitor the activity. Yeah, you may have to pay for the park rangers to be monitoring you while you're taking some photography, even if it's not for commercial use. A model means a person or object that serves as a subject for still photography for the purpose of promoting the sale or use of a product or service. Models include, but are not limited to, individuals, animals, or inanimate objects, such as vehicles, boats, articles of clothing, and food and beverage products. Portrait subjects, such as wedding parties and high school graduates, are not considered models. There you go. Almost at the end. Permit applications are available through each park's administrative office or website. Contact information for parks can be found on their websites. So what they're saying is you need to go, if you're going to a particular park and you know that you're going to be doing some filming for commercial, for your YouTube channel, photography, whatever, for any social media or for commercials, to promote a product, and I just listed them all, so I won't continue on. You need to contact that particular park and go ahead and put in an application for a permit. Now, what I gleaned from this is that there is going to be an application fee. There's an application fee. And that must be included with the application. But to actually get the permit, I'm going to list, this is what I gleaned from it. I might be wrong. Maybe the application, but this is what I gleaned from it when I first read it, is that now I'm going to read you what the cost would be for the permit itself. Now, 1 to 2 people, camera or tripod only, is $0. It's $0 a day. So it's 0 for 1 to 2 people with only a camera and a tripod. So if you are a YouTuber and it's just you, and you want to get a permit, it's not going to cost you anything if it's just you and maybe your friend. But what I got from it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, put it in the comments, is that there is an application fee, because they have to, it went on to explain how they have to process it. They don't have the resources to do that unless you have to pay for that. Okay. Now, 1 to 10 people is $150 a day. 11 to 30 is $250. 31 to 49 is $500 a day. And over 50 people is $750 a day. So that would be like if you're filming in like Yellowstone Park. Are they filming in Yellowstone Park that new? I've not seen it with Kevin Costner. Can you believe that? I've not seen it. It looks really good, and I do love Kevin Costner, so I don't know about that. But I wanted to alert anybody and everybody about this. There have always been, the laws have been on the books. But because of this one guy he's an Instagrammer, he's a YouTuber, and he's just he's been known, and what happened is they found him way back doing some things that are not good for the environment, okay? And so what happened was they started watching him. So when he was posting things up, they were keeping track of all of that. So, I mean, if you're incognito and they haven't really noticed you, I would imagine that it's no big deal. But still, I don't see any reason, if you're going to go to a park and you want to capture, and if you're a YouTuber and you're monetized, yes, that is commercial filming, and it's on a federal land. So it might be a wise idea to actually get a permit. If it's just you, it's not going to cost anything, and it's going to cost, I assume it costs for the application, and I do not know how much that is. It did not list that. So I might be wrong on the application, but that's what I got from it. Okay, so that is your national park filming laws and regulations. So let me go to my next one. Photography laws based in the USA. And as I said, I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to give this information that I found. It's really riveting, interesting. And the thing is that a lot of us are taking pictures. Now, what are we going to do with them? You know, even if they're not commercially used, what are you going to do with those photos that you're taking out and about, wherever you are? Well, A photographer or a client ownership copyright is automatically applied the moment of creation. Right. So, who owns a photograph? The photographer or the client? Let's say you hired somebody to take your photos. Who in the end, even if they paid for them, who in the end has ownership of those photographs? Well, surprisingly, it's the photographer. He has the right to tell you what you can do with those photos. I know. I was shocked too. There you go. Now, this copyright lasts an entire lifespan, and in many cases, way beyond your lifetime, that they can be transferred to your next generation. They can be the ownership can be transferred to them. Interesting, huh? Yeah. Well, the client paid for a photo shoot. The photographer takes the image. So who owns it? Yes. According to copyright law, the photographer. The client may only use the image with consent of the photographer. Oh my gosh. Whether payment was made or not. Did you guys know that? I didn't. Oh my gosh. That's pretty interesting stuff by copyright laws. Yeah. And you don't even have to get them all copywritten. I mean, seriously, you'd be sending things to the copyright to Congress, Copyright Congress, for everything. The moment that you took that picture, that you created it, it is yours. You own it. You're the only one who can use it. Now, so can I do what I want with the photo as a photographer, right? Not exactly, it says. If you are photographing people or recognizable private property, you need permission for some uses. But there are loopholes too. Photojournalism, for example, and the expectation of privacy. That, I remember when that was a real law, because people were, once we all started getting cameras in our hands, I remember there was a lot of lawsuits. So it's like, well, he took my picture, he can't take my picture. Well, the laws, the judges, the courts said that there is a certain level of, there's an expectation of privacy when you're in a public place. No, and I'll get into that. There's more, but wait, there's more. You enjoying this? Sorry, I didn't memorize this. So, yeah. The commercial use and the fair use. That's two different things. Commercial use can get complicated. Anything created for profit, whether it be advertising or promotion of a product, or a commercial use, it could be for YouTube, because people get paid for their YouTube, filming, right? And a lot of photography gets used, and it includes filming. Now, the fair use would be commentary, news, criticism, teaching, and research, etc., etc. Basically, someone is allowed to use your photograph without your consent if they are using it for education or news. Okay. Now, you will need, if you're going to use it for commercial use, you will need to have a photograph release form. And they grant permission to use the photograph commercially of your likeness. Now, they mention in the laws, they mention a likeness. Well, your likeness. Well, basically the definition of that is everybody has a likeness. I'm putting my likeness on film. This is my likeness. And every person has a likeness, and every person has a right to protect their likeness. But there is the expectation of privacy. Yes. So basically, someone on a sidewalk versus their private property or a private place. So privacy protections come from the Fourth Amendment, in case you didn't know, which I did not know, but now I do. There you go. Once you step off of private land onto public land, you forfeit your right to privacy. If somebody is standing in their on their porch, in their house, on their house, front porch in their house, and you're on public property, you're outside that, and you take a picture of that you would need permission to do that. You can't just take their picture. But once they step off of their private property, now here's something that I remember doing. Oh man, my daughter and I, we would go up in Cincinnati, some of those homes. Oh my gosh. Or anywhere you go, some of these older homes are these really expensive homes. You're walking by, go, oh, I want to take a picture of that. That really is, that's private property, and you're not supposed to do that. Just so you know. So anyone can photograph you without consent if you're on public property. They can photograph your car, but not inside your car. They can photograph you once you step out of your car, they can photograph you. But once you go in, they can't go in a window and photograph you inside your car. For us nomads, good to know. But they have the right to photograph our rigs if they want to. Yeah. So this is really what's called street photography, and we all need to know that's become a term because of everybody walking around with their cameras, their phones. You can photograph anyone without consent on public property. But you cannot use those photos for two reasons: to defame them or slander them. Yeah. You can use them, but you can't use it for, like dastardly purposes. Yes. So it would make sense, like if you're paparazzi, you can't run around and photograph people. And so you can just, for some commercial uses if you want to, but you can't use it. We'll have to look for that. I don't know of any cases where that would happen, but yeah. Okay, social media. Okay, when you are uploading, or I'm uploading my film or my photos, you are essentially granting that social media platform to use your photos, and they can also share them. Did you know that? They can share your photos by law. They can use them and share them if they so choose. But individuals on the platform cannot use or share your photographs that are yours. And once you snap them, once they're yours, they're copywritten. That's the law. Once you've taken them, you've copywritten them. Yeah. So when it comes to individuals on the platform using your likeness, and they're using it, especially for dastardly purposes, there are avenues you can take. You kind of have to weigh out, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? But there are private property and copyright attorneys who will handle that for you if you want to take it that far, if they're using it for their own purposes or to defame or slander you. Okay, so now here we go. I found this. Government buildings. Can we photograph government buildings, right? Well, there was a lawsuit. I'm not going to list his name. It was a foreign name. But he essentially, in the past, he was photographed. There was an interview going on outside and he was filming it, but he was on the sidewalk filming it. Oh man, he got thrown to the ground by security, and it was the Homeland Security that did it. Threw him to the ground, took his SD card out, and he ended up suing them. And it went to court, and he won. I mean, he had every right to film. Film what was going on in and around a government building. So, yeah. So I thought I would list how many times do we walk around and photograph government buildings. Okay. So we can photograph government buildings, the exterior, anytime we want to. Yes. There are, except for reasonable suspicion. That's always a slippery slope. Yeah. I have reasonable suspicion that he's a bad guy and he's gonna, yeah, I mean, If they have reasonable suspicion, and like I said, I'll say it again, that can be a slippery slope, can it? Okay, so you can film the inside for non-commercial purposes. That includes the in-building entrances, lobbies, foyers, corridors, auditoriums, for news purposes. So, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I don't know. You know, for news purposes, I mean, they make newspapers and magazines and news on TV. I mean, they make money, right? Right. So, if your YouTube channel is for education purposes, can you? That's a question I don't have. But, yeah, and I have filmed inside entrances of government buildings. Heck yeah. I mean, I've walked through and filmed them and shown them on my YouTube channel. So, okay, so here's the skinny, everybody. If you're a YouTuber, I'm going to lay it out for you. If you want to film in national parks or federal land, you need to file an application to do this. If it's just one or two, once you are permitted that, it's not going to cost you anything, but at least you have the permit. It's not, the permit won't cost you anything. So there you go. Okay, well, I hope you found this interesting. Sorry I had to read so much of it, but hey, there's a lot of paperwork here. Okay, so until tomorrow, everybody, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Please, please subscribe. Oh, yeah, just subscribe. Yeah, it really helps me out. It really does. And I've got some exercise tapes. I've got two shemagh left. A blue, it's called Bedazzle Blue, shade of Bedazzle Blue. And the pink is a flamingo pink, although it doesn't seem flamingo to me. But I've only got two shemaghs left, pink and the Bedazzle Blue. So if you want them, go ahead and get them. Once I get those two done, I may go and get some more. But if those don't go right away, I won't. Yeah. So if you want them, I would grab them if you want them. One of you asked for different colors. Yes, you wanted more winter colors. And yeah, I can do that. I definitely can go look for those. And I've got my sunglasses here. This is Raven style. I really like it. See, it's got the metal on there. Okay. Raven. They're big, they're nice, and these are dark. So they'll really protect your eyes from the light. And it is a protection for your eyes. Okay, so I just wanted to show that to you. And of course, I've got black. I've got neck gaiters. Everybody, hey y'all. Okay, I love you guys. I hope you found it. I found this really interesting. I love you.